Hello and welcome to TVB News. I'm Melissa Hekalea. The government announced today the city's real gross domestic product for the first quarter expanded by 3.1% year-on-year. Mimo Singhai reports.
In a press conference on Friday, the government said the city's economy expanded solidly in the first quarter of the year. The real GDP expanded by 3.1% year-on-year within the period, picking up from the 2.5% growth from the previous quarter. Authorities said economic growth was supported by increases in Hong Kong's exports of goods and services, which were 8.4% and 6.6% year-on-year in real terms, respectively. Another contributing factor was a resumption of moderate growth in overall investment expenditure, with a rise of 2.8% year-on-year in real terms. But private consumption expenditure continued its decline and was down 1.1%.
Consumption pattern of the residents and tourists have lingering for quite some time throughout the past many months. And of course, it still exerts some pressure on related sectors. We are very encouraging that the inbound tourism showed some notable improvements, and of course this will in turn support the consumption markets. We are not very pessimistic about the developments down the road.
Speaking about uncertainties regarding U.S. trade policies, the government said Washington's latest 90-day tariff suspension will help the city's economic situation.
This gives us a window, and for exporters especially, for the exports to reach the overseas market. Right now, given the two major economies have shown some positive developments in the trade negotiations, I think this will provide a very good signal to the market.
The government said the real GDP growth forecast for this year remains at 2 to 3%. Mums 9, TVB News.
The government has announced the dates of general holidays for next year. Some of the holiday dates fall on Fridays or Mondays, allowing workers to create long weekends. They include Labor Day, Buddha's birthday, Dragon Boat Festival, and the day after Chungyung Festival. In 2026, Qingming Festival will link up with Easter, so April 3 to April 7th will be holidays. If workers request 3 more days off, they can create a 10-day holiday. Since 2022, the government has been increasing the number of statutory holidays by 1 day each year, every 2 years. They'll have Easter Monday off next year. Together with Qingming Festival, it makes for a 3-day holiday. The Grand Cornhill Cinema in Quarry Bay will shut down at the end of the month, and there has been other cinema closures in recent years. Some residents said they were losing interest in watching films in theaters. And movie industry insiders say the sector is facing many challenges, and the government should roll out more discounts to encourage people to go to the cinemas. Samantha Lee reports.
On Cinema Day last Saturday, movie enthusiasts only had to pay $30 to watch a movie in this theater in Bangkok, down from about $100 on normal days. The cinema in Chengshan is known for selling cheap tickets. Some screenings in the afternoon were only half full. This moviegoer said he came to this cinema because the tickets were cheaper. But this lady said sometimes she would rather watch movies at home when the tickets are expensive or she is too busy to go out. This man said theaters can be crowded. He feels it's unhygienic. The MCL cinema chain announced this week that the Grand Cornhill Cinema in Quarry Bay will close on the 28th of this month. This is at least the 4th cinema to cease operation this year, following the closure of Newport Theatre in Bangkok, Golden Harvest in Whampoa, and Sunbeam Theatre in North Point. Federation of Hong Kong Filmmakers spokesman Tin Kai Man said there are multiple factors that have led to the cinema closures. Besides shrinking audiences, he believes the attractiveness of the movies and the rents for cinemas also factor. He said the movie industry in Hong Kong faces the threat of streaming platforms, as many people prefer to watch films at home. He suggested more cinema days in the future in a bid to attract more people to go into the cinemas. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
U.S. President Donald Trump is wrapping up his Middle East trip, repeating his claim that many countries are lining up to make trade deals with Washington. Trump today took part in a business roundtable in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates, the last stop of his trip that also included Saudi Arabia and Qatar. He praised his recent trade agreement with the United Kingdom and China. The U.S. kept the 10% baseline tariffs on the UK, but reduced levies on British autos, steel, and aluminum. With China, both sides cut sky-high tariffs on each other's goods.
We just reached a fantastic trade deal, as you know, with the United Kingdom, which was wonderful. And we have another big one that we just reached with China. The China deal is a very big deal. It's in the process of continuing to be formed. But they wanted to make that deal very badly. And we have, at the same time, 150 countries that want to make a deal, but you're not able to see that many countries. So at a certain point over the next 2 to 3 weeks, I think Scott and Howard will be sending letters out, essentially telling people, it would be very fair, but we'll be telling people what they'll be paying to do business in the United States.
In Thailand, a construction magnate and several builders, designers, and engineers surrendered to police on criminal negligence charges for the deadly collapse of a Bangkok high-rise following the March 28 earthquake that hit Myanmar. The president of Italian Thai Development Company, the main Thai contractor for the building project, as well as designers and engineers, were among 17 charged with the felony of professional negligence causing death, Bangkok's deputy police chief said. 92 people were confirmed dead in the rubble of the building that had been under construction. The building, which was to become a new state audit office, was the only one in Thailand to collapse in the earthquake. Welcome back. The leaders of 47 European countries and organizations will gather Friday for a one-day summit in Albania's capital to discuss security and defense challenges across the continent, with Russia's invasion of Ukraine at the top of the agenda. This as Russia and Ukraine are set to hold their first direct peace negotiations in nearly 3 years in Turkey, as delegations from both countries have now confirmed. A trilateral meeting between the U.S., Ukraine, and Turkey will also take place today. Tracy Furness reports.
Security is tight at the venue, the presidential Dolmabahce working office in Istanbul, where a trilateral meeting involving representatives from Turkey, the U.S., and Ukraine is scheduled to take place Friday. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky said he is sending a team headed by his defense minister from the Turkish capital Ankara to Istanbul to meet a Russian delegation. It is the first direct peace negotiations in nearly 3 years between the two countries. But hopes for a breakthrough are still dim after Russian President Vladimir Putin spurned an offer by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to meet face-to-face in Turkey. In Moscow, residents said they were longing for peace ahead of the planned talks between Russia and Ukraine. This Moscow resident expects the meeting between the two delegations would have a fairly good outcome. It will draw them into some kind of diplomatic process, he said. This resident said Russia and Ukraine are not going anywhere from each other in terms of geography. The problems need to be resolved. Meanwhile, Pope Leo XIV met with the head of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church at the Apostolic Palace in Vatican City Thursday. Major Archbishop of Kiev, Sviatslav Shevchuk, presented the pontiff with a painting. It comes a day after the Pope vowed to take every effort to work for peace in the Middle East and Ukraine. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Israeli strikes killed at least 50 people in Gaza on Friday morning. Authorities report more than 130 Palestinians dead over the previous 2 days. This as Palestinians in Gaza and around the world remember the Nakba, or catastrophe, from 1948, when hundreds of thousands were forced from their lands. For many in the Gaza Strip who've survived 18 months of Israeli airstrikes, the Nakba continues. Nazvi Karim has more.
Galia Abu Muter was 4 years old when the Nakba, or catastrophe, happened. Her family fled their home in what is now Israel, among hundreds of thousands of Palestinians who were forced out of their lands during the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. 77 years later, she's back in a tent, sheltering from Israel's 18-month bombardment of the Gaza Strip. Today, we're in an even bigger Nakba than the Nakba we saw before, she says. We are not living. There is no life, no children. Everyone is being martyred. There are no houses left, no people, no food or drink. The planes strike us and throw our children dead in front of us. More than 130 Palestinians were reportedly killed by Israeli strikes over the previous 2 days across Gaza, including in Khan Yunis and Jabalia. Funerals up and down the Strip were held for the victims. The population has been denied humanitarian aid for more than 10 weeks, with food supplies running short. The United Nations and other countries have been applying pressure on Israel to open up crossings where thousands of trucks are waiting to send food, water and medicine. In the northern Gaza district of Beit Lahia, resident Abed said she arrived at the soup kitchen at 9 a.m., hoping to receive food to feed a family of 20, including a 3-year-old child. She left empty-handed for a second day in a row, unable to fight her way past the crowds. At the United Nations, Israel's ambassador to the body said Israel would allow an organization known as the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation to lead aid delivery efforts.
We will not fund those efforts. We will facilitate them. We will enable them. Some of them will have to cross through territory that we operate, but we will definitely not fund them.
Many in the aid community believe the foundation is meant to supplant the UN's distribution system. The UN and others have rejected Israel's efforts to control aid distribution. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
A 21-year-old Ukrainian man has been charged with 3 counts of arson for fires that targeted 2 properties and a car linked to British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He appeared in court today. The Metropolitan Police Force said Roman Lavrinovich, who arrived in court in a white van, was charged with arson with intent to endanger life. The charges are linked to 3 incidents that took place over the past week. The first was a car fire on May 8th. The second was a blaze on Sunday outside a North London house converted into apartments connected to the British Prime Minister. The third was a Monday fire at Starmer's private home that damaged the door of the house. No injuries were reported. Starmer called the incident an attack on democracy and the values the UK stands for. An environmental conference opened in Nepal today to discuss global climate change. It included the impact on the highest Himalayan peaks where snow and ice are melting. The 3-day conference in Kathmandu, titled Climate Change, Mountains and the Future of Humanity, was expected to include critical climate issues. Nepal is home to 8 of the tallest mountains in the world, including Mount Everest. A high level of glaciers melting in the Himalayan mountains due to global warming has raised concerns. Melting snow and ice have exposed mountains and increased the risk of rock slides, landslides, and avalanches.
Our mountains are sounding the alarm. As a consequence of a global warming due to human activity, glaciers are retreating, threatening the future of water security for population downstream.
Police Commissioner Joe Chow said the maintenance of cybersecurity requires collaborative interdisciplinary effort. The police cannot be the sole safeguard of cybersecurity. Chow's comments came at the Cybersecurity and Diverse Innovation Symposium in Wanchai on Friday. The event was co-organized by the police and the government's Digital Policy Office. Mimo Singhai reports.
Held at the Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Centre, the Cybersecurity and Diverse Innovation Symposium gathered more than 600 representatives from government departments and industries such as finance and telecommunications. In his opening speech, Police Commissioner Joe Chow said cybersecurity risks have become complicated and could arise from any sector, and authorities must be prepared at all times. Zhao said the maintenance of cybersecurity is not just a police job, and that society must also establish an open and diverse cybersecurity ecosystem. He hopes the forum can serve as a platform to allow interdisciplinary exchanges, including how to set up the city's cybersecurity, adding that the police will continue to work with the Digital Policy Office in helping Hong Kong to develop into an innovative and safe international digital city. Meanwhile, Undersecretary for Innovation, Technology and Industry, Leah Jern, said the government will put more effort into training to strengthening the city's cybersecurity. Jern stressed that cybersecurity will act as a main driver to promote the local development of innovation and technology, as well as the digital economy. Mums 9, TVB News.
HOFEX, one of Asia's top food and wine trade shows, took place at the Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Center. The expo featured over 2,000 exhibitors from more than 28 countries and regions, including American companies. Amid a 90-day pause on most of the tariffs the U.S. and China imposed on each other, some American food producers say the situation remains uncertain and they're actively diversifying their markets in a bid to lessen the impact of the trade war. Samantha Lee spoke to them.
American dairy products, beef. These American food items are imported to Hong Kong duty-free, but not to mainland China. Beijing earlier imposed a 125% tariff on American goods in response to Washington's 145% tariff. But recently, both sides agreed to slash tariffs for 90 days, which means American goods to the mainland China are now subject to a 10% levy. So is that good news for American exporters?
The cost for the tariff make us our costs almost double. But right now, due to the tariff, we don't feel very secure about how marketing goes. So right now, we try to shifting more our sales to maybe a country around China, so that can help us to lower our risks on the tariffs that might happen in the future again. Right now, we try to expand to more Asian countries like Japan, Korea, Vietnam, Thailand, India, Malaysia, Singapore. So those is all our future marketing.
A family-operated American wine producer said they are still interested in tapping into the China market.
We had lots of interest already, and it's noon, and we already have a good list. So there's a lot of promises. Yeah.
But are you really going to trade with them?
We'll see if we can.
The expo features food and wine from all over the world, such as European wine and liquor. Some European exhibitors said Hong Kong is an important market where they can connect with the rest of the region. In response to the trade war, Financial Secretary Paul Chan pledged Hong Kong will continue to be one of the freest economies in the world.
At a time when some economies are raising trade barriers, Hong Kong is not just opening doors, we are opening more bottles too. If you're thinking of extending the reach of your products and services, Hong Kong is your showroom. Come to Hong Kong and you will find opportunities.
He said various organizations in Hong Kong will support foreign enterprises in setting up offices in the city.
The exhibition is held every 2 years. The organizers said there are more than 2,000 exhibitors this year, 400 more than last session. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.